Hey there everyone, we're back again doing the lessons of A Course in Miracles, and today we are doing lesson number 169, and it's a pretty windy day here, so hopefully you can hear me. I think after the full moon energies have kind of come into everybody's field, we're all going through a process of release and purification and renewal, and once again the lessons are on point with what's happening in my life and hopefully yours too. Yesterday in my moving process, we got almost everything out of the house, and I had a huge emotional experience around my military career as I was wrapping up some of the plaques that were presented to me when I left a few of the organizations. I only kept about 7 or 8 plaques, and it occurred to me that I've been retired for a year, but I've really pushed aside the emotions of the camaraderie and the connectedness and the unity that I felt while I was a member of the military, while I was in the Army. And so for that to come up and come out was huge for me. And I feel like what's happening with the winds right now is just, for me, just kind of like transmuting everything back to source, letting things go back to where they came from, and allowing me a chance to start over again. So it's like a beautiful transition, and yeah, I hope that you're experiencing the same kinds of things in your life as well. All right, so today our lesson is, by grace I live, by grace I am released. Grace is an aspect of the love of God, which is most like the state prevailing in the unity of truth. It is the world's most lofty aspiration, for it leads beyond the world entirely. It is past learning, yet the goal of learning, for grace cannot come until the mind prepares itself for true acceptance. Grace becomes inevitable instantly in those who have prepared a table where it can be gently laid and willingly received, an altar clean and holy for the gift. Grace is acceptance of the love of God within a world of seeming hate and fear. By grace alone, the hate and fear are gone, for grace represents a state so opposite to everything the world contains that those whose minds are lighted by the gift of grace cannot believe the world of fear is real. Grace is not learned. The final step must go beyond all learning. Grace is not the goal this course aspires to attain. Yet we prepare for grace in that an open mind can hear the call to awaken. It is not shut tight against God's voice. It has become aware that there are things it does not know, and thus is ready to accept a state completely different from experience with which it is familiarly at home. We have perhaps appeared to contradict our statement that the revelation of the Father and the Son as one has already been set. But we have also said the mind determines when the time will be, and has determined it. And yet we urge you to bear witness to the Word of God, to hasten the experience of truth, and speed its advent into every mind that recognizes truth's effects on you. So there again, we're being told that something is shining through us to help other people. What a blessing. We are. I am. You are. Oneness is simply the idea that God is, and in his being, he encompasses all things. No mind holds anything but him. We say God is, and then we cease to speak, for in that knowledge words are meaningless. There are no lips to speak them, and no part of mind sufficiently distinct to feel that is now aware of something not itself. It has united with its source, and like its source itself, it merely is. We cannot speak nor write nor even think of this at all. It comes to every mind when total recognition that its will is God's has been completely given and received completely. It returns the mind into the endless present, where the past and future cannot be conceived. It lies beyond salvation, past all thought of time, forgiveness, and the holy face of Christ. The Son of God has merely disappeared into his Father, as his Father has in him. The world has never been at all. Eternity remains a constant state. This is beyond experience we try to hasten. Yet forgiveness taught and learned brings with it experiences which bear witness that the time the mind itself determined to abandon all but this is now at hand. We do not hasten it, in that what you will offer was concealed from him who teaches what forgiveness means. All learning was already in his mind, accomplished and complete. He recognized all that time holds and gave it to all minds that each one might determine from a point where time was ended when it is released to revelation and eternity. We have repeated several times before that you but make a journey that is done. For oneness must be here. Whatever time the mind has set for revelation is entirely irrelevant to what must be a constant state, forever as it always was, forever to remain as it is now. We merely take the part assigned long since and fully recognized as perfectly fulfilled by him who wrote salvation's script in his Creator's name and in the name of his Creator's Son. There is no need to further clarify what no one in the world can understand. When revelation of your oneness comes, it will be known and fully understood. Now we have work to do, for those in time can speak of things beyond and listen to words which explain what is to come is past already. Okay, that was confusing. Let me read that again. Now we have work to do for those in time, I guess in this 3D reality, for those in time can speak of things beyond and listen to words which explain what is to come is past already. So I guess that's where we have that knowing that the light will prevail. How do we know that? We just do. We're tapped into that, all that is frequency, and we're allowing and accepting, but we know the end already. Okay, yet what meaning can the words convey to those who count the hours still and rise and work and go to sleep by them? Suffice it, then, that you have work to do to play your part. The ending must remain obscure to you until your part is done. That's the veil. We're not allowed to know all the answers. Damn it. It does not matter, for your part is still what all the rest depends on. As you take the role assigned to you, salvation comes a little nearer each uncertain heart that does not beat as yet in tune with God. Forgiveness is the central theme that runs throughout salvation, holding all its parts in meaningful relationships, the course it runs directed, and its outcome sure. And now we ask for grace, the final gift salvation can bestow. Experience that grace provides will end in time, for grace foreshadows heaven, yet does not replace the thought of time, but for a little while. The interval suffices. It is here that miracles are laid to be returned by you from holy instants you receive through grace in your experience to all who see the light that lingers in your face. What is the face of Christ but his who went a moment into timelessness and brought a clear reflection of unity he felt in an instant back to bless the world? How could you finally attain to it forever while a part of you remains outside, unknowing, unawakened, and in need of you as witness to the truth? Be grateful to return as you were, glad to go an instant and accept the gifts that grace provided you. You carry them back to yourself, and revelation stands not far behind. Its coming is ensured. We ask for grace and for experience that comes from grace. We welcome the release it offers everyone. We do not ask for the unaskable. We do not look beyond what grace can give. For this we can give in the grace that has been given us. Our learning goal today does not exceed this prayer. Yet in the world, what could be more than what we ask this day of him who gives the grace we ask, and it was given him, as it was given him. And then the prayer is, by grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace I give, by grace I will release. So yesterday, after we finished moving everything, my boyfriend and I decided that we were going to have an experience with psilocybin mushrooms at a creek in Pennsylvania. And we were there for several hours because you need a little time for all of that to happen. And for those of you who've never experienced psychedelics, and it may be triggering, that's totally okay, I understand. It's definitely not something that I participate in very often, but I had an amazing experience. And I feel like this lesson is helping me see that I was given a moment of timelessness. Actually, it was a couple of hours of timelessness where I was able to really go deeply into my emotions about my military experience and my stored up anger and negative emotions that are held in my body around some traumas that I experienced as a child. And just having my boyfriend just be the witness to that and encourage me to let it out. I was screaming, laughing, crying, like every extreme emotion that wanted to come out came out. And I was sitting there basically in the creek, touching the water, feeling the rocks, and just in that experience. And it did feel like timelessness, and it did feel like I was connected to something far bigger than my normal life. So I say all that to say that there's a lot of options out there for people who want to heal traumas and release things. So yeah, I think being open-minded to some of these types of things and willing to experience it, going in with the intention of being surrounded by love and knowing that my guides and teachers are with me and that God was, behind all of it, made it totally unscary. And at the end, so we were getting ready to get in the car and it was dark and we were looking at the stars, and out of nowhere we both heard this sound that was kind of like, and I think it was Bigfoot. My boyfriend really wasn't into that, but I think that it was just another nod to the universe that we're surrounded by love. And if you can focus on that instead of fear, this idea of grace, it appears, but you can't really seek that. It just has to kind of come out of you from doing this work and doing the lessons. So anyway, just sharing that with all of you. Interested if you have any comments or feedback on that. I would love to talk more about it at some point. All right, so let's see what a year of forgiveness has to say about lesson 169. By grace I live, by grace I am released. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one you know as Jesus. These lessons are challenging your belief systems considerably. You are asked to act on faith that you will be transformed, but this is not up to you. You can only be vigilant and diligent in your practice. You can only forgive when necessary. You can only do what we ask you to do, and in that doing, you express your willingness to have your mind transformed into its natural state, which is that of love. That is all that happens here. The unnecessary and the valueless are removed from your consciousness so that you are free and clear to be the divine being that you are, connected to all that is, with a clear and unsullied guidance system. The revelation you experience as you come closer to the state that is the most wonderful thing indeed. This being, Tina, experienced that feeling of oneness, the absolute knowing that this world is illusory and that there is something far greater on the other side of the veil of ignorance. You are gradually dissolving it through grace. It is through doing nothing but being given the opportunity to see clearly that you find this wonderful experience coming your way. All of you feel a clarification of your mind. You do not get as upset as you used to get. You see that a lot of the stories you fabricate in your mind are illusions. They are fantasies, and they create happiness or sadness depending on the story you tell. Tell the loving story. Tell the kind story. Tell the forgiving story. And it is you who will benefit from that. I am that one you know as Jesus, and we will speak to you tomorrow. Tell the loving story. All right, we'll just read this one more time. By grace I live, by grace I am released, by grace I give, by grace I will release. Ooh, I hope that you find your release and that you're enjoying these lessons and how they're transforming your lives. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.